It's not mine. That's called the Navy, just rocket or scissors and you lost. Anybody need an agenda?
We're recording. I got the agenda up here.
Thank you.
No.
Any minutes from December?
So on the outset, somebody has to be interim chair in order to
That's something good.
continue on with the meeting.
Okay, I'll be interim chair if the board is agreeable to it.
Yes.
Okay, so moved.
Yes.
All right. Further interim chair. The end of years, the recording has started.
All right, I'm gonna call the February 12th Parking Advisory Committee meeting to order. We will start with I guess, is there any housekeeping or anything? We'll go around the table.
Roll call.
Yes, we're gonna do introductions. So we'll go this way, Joan.
I'm Joan Taylor and I'm the residential parking permit holder representative.
I'm Sandy Scholl, I'm the business owner representative.
David Knopke, the Transportation Systems Director. Chris Cooley, the Transportation Systems Deputy Director.
Seth Brandenberger, the Business Improvement District Representative. And who do we have from here?
I'm Sydney Burgess from the neighborhood, and this is my friend from Kalispell, just coming along with me on my errands, which is one of them.
Okay,
The neighborhood is what you're.
Yeah, I'm here to complain about a couple of tickets that I got and just to say my opinion about the rules.
okay.
Do we know if Chris is trying to get on?
He said he wasn't going to.
Okay.
Okay,
But I'll double check.
We have a quorum, right?
we do have a
We
quorum.
have a quorum, yes. No, it's. And two.
We'll move on to meeting minutes from December. Does everybody have a chance to read the meeting minutes? Okay, I get a motion to approve the December meeting minutes.
John will
I'm
send
going
it all
to
second.
accept the minutes of the December meeting.
Joan, Sandy, is there any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Approving the minutes? Aye. Okay, minutes are approved. Okay, now we have public comment.
Yes, please.
You have 3 minutes?
It won't be on your agenda.
Okay.
And I'm sorry, I forgot the ticket, they're on my calendar. Congratulations to Julia for getting her new assignment. I was trying to come to that meeting, and so my tickets are very overdue now. I got tickets down in the area between Carroll College and the Civic Center. That little neighborhood that has private parking or whatever you call it, permit parking. Because of, I assume because of the Civic Center patrons. And they don't want those people to park down there in that neighborhood. And so I got a ticket for not having a permit in front of my friend's house, who had recently moved there. Although she had her own permit, you know what you call it, certificate. But I also got a ticket for parking on the wrong side of the street. And so I want to say that Park Avenue in that neck of the woods is a broad avenue, and it's, you can see traffic from miles away. And what I wanted to say philosophically, I think as we get older, it's really important to be able to legally park on the wrong side of the street, because then you're jumping out of your car, not in traffic, thinking especially about winter, not this winter, but winters, and getting into the sidewalk area without having to go around a car. And I mean, I've parked on the wrong side of the street for many years by my house because it's safest. And I've never gotten a ticket. So I'm just saying all that to say, yay. But I was mostly complaining about 25 plus $25 worth of tickets for parking in front of my friend's house. Which was my instant thing. I'm going to the parking commission, so here I am. And so all that to say, thank you for being on the parking commission. Really, thank you for being on the parking commission. I know we need it. I was totally flummoxed by the new computers, which I think are ridiculous as a militant non-computer user. And kind of sometimes a secret computer user when I really need to find something out. And so I have a lot of issues, as you can tell, and one of them is thank you for not giving us tickets for parking on the wrong side of the street when it's really safest, especially for old people. And I just wonder about how that area down there got named to be the secret parking, or not secret, this parking rule thing where you have to have a permit to park in there. And why is it? I don't get it. Bankers? People at the restaurant? Is
What
that
time of day where did you get your ticket?
in the middle of the day? I mean,
Between the civic center and Carroll's a residential parking district, so unless you have a guest permit or a residential parking permit, you have to, you're gonna get a ticket.
I get it, or park in their backyard, which is what I'm more likely to do, because the permits are like 10 or 15 bucks a year, is that what they are? You know, I feel like you guys are trying to pay off those computers, is my opinion. Sorry, I thought that was a crazy idea to start with.
I live in, oh, I can't speak.
Oh, she's the representative though.
Joan, you can go ahead. We'll move on to, you can choose to respond.
Joan is your representative.
Right, I love that.
And I live in that neighborhood.
Oh, cool.
I live on the corner of Stewart and Getchell. So
Okay,
right across the civic center.
Yeah,
around the
yep.
corner. And the residential parking,
More problematic there than down by Euclid.
well, I think the people on Park, I mean, it is because people from the civic center park over there, and sometimes maybe people, you know, from the restaurants in the Great Northern park up that way. And there's a mix of 2-hour parking, residential parking, permit parking in that.
But there's also a bunch of, what do we call them, like VRBOs or something too.
Right. The issue, I think, is that, I mean, you're visiting your friend and you're during the day, and they do enforcement during the day.
Not at night when the
8 to
big center
5.
is
Right,
full.
they do not do it at night, and that's another issue for the people.
That's a huge issue. I mean, what are we doing it for is the question. I still say it's for
So-
paying off the computers.
Well, and I think that the people on Park really use their permits. They get the permits because there is overflow from parking structure. They're not parking structure, but the civic center.
Maybe up on your end, but maybe not down on the Euclid end.
Well,
Then they-
we're gonna find out who's using permits in that neighborhood and if they stay in as part of the permits if they want to. So I'm
Well,
sorry, but it's just.
I know. So
I get parking tickets too, but I don't
Okay.
use my permit.
last 3 minutes.
Just to add one quick thing,
Yeah,
Thank you.
that parking district was created long before the computer, before the kiosks were even purchased.
Oh, okay,
That's been in
which
place,
means they were having problems.
yeah, that's
with
been in
it.
place for a number of years.
Okay. All right. Well, thanks for letting me be. I appreciate it.
thank you.
Thank you, Karen.
All right.
Yeah.
Thank you. Do we have any board member comments? We have more public that showed up.
We have,
Yeah, would you like to go?
Thank you.
Yeah.
Hello, everybody. I'm Alicia Ryan. I'm the Executive Director of the Helena Business Improvement District.
Any public comment?
I do not, thank you.
Hey, thanks, you guys.
thank you. Okay. I have,
I do not have any.
okay. Joan? you have any
No,
further
nothing more.
comments? Okay, I have a couple comments, one being, Great Falls increased their parking rate to $1.50. On the news this morning. in order to balance their budget, so they're not losing money anymore, which I think is significant. And the other thing I wanted to talk about was the Business Improvement District agreed as one of their goals for next year is to provide, I have an exact language here.
It's great for all. What's that?
What's that?
It's not the very.
Us, a Business Improvement District downtown. One of their goals is to promote changes and how to use parking downtown. So we're gonna, one of our goals is to use our social media capabilities to promote parking, but also the Business Improvement District is waiting for Parking Advisory Committee to make a decision on future rates. Once we have the decisions in place, we can promote those changes.
So interim chair,
Yes,
the committee did approve those original rates. That we had proposed and we kind of went through. Am I hearing that you're wanting to revisit those? Cause we're gonna have to have something to put into the budget, sooner than later.
okay,
Um,
yes, I do want to revisit the rates, and I was looking at the rate structure that was, we looked at back in July, I think, of 25. Original rates that were proposed, which was $1.50 an hour.
It was somewhere around there, because that was.
No, 25, yeah, there, that was right there, yes. Let's scroll over so we can, yeah, there we are. Yeah, $1.25.
Yeah, we had originally, proposed $1.50, but in discussion with this committee, we agreed to the $1.25, so that all our recommendations were in alignment. So we can put this on for the next meeting.
Next
to
meeting.
Take action on. since
Oh,
this
yeah,
wasn't-
it's not on the agenda for this meeting, but next
Are you
meeting,
proposing more than 125?
no. I'm not. It's up for discussion. I think in order for us to vote on it, we should have it on the agenda. Vote
Already voted on it.
We voted on this.
Voted on this.
on this one.
So unless you want to change one of these. And what we don't have is a low income permit, right?
Correct. But we were,
Now, my understanding is we did not bring this before the commission yet.
no, Julia presented it to the commission,
But there was no decision, on it, right?
no decision on it from the commission. But after that, I think there was some discussion on possibly revisiting a couple of these. And it just we never got there since she brought it to the commission, and I think that was in the fall.
That was so long ago. It's like we're.
Yeah, 'cause we were trying to get them approved so that we could have rates be effective
July
January
21st.
And that was, so it went to an administrative meeting as a presentation. And it was kind of a wishy-washy, okay, what does the advisory committee think about these, even though we showed them
Yes.
this column.
Okay.
Yeah, and so it wasn't, the outcome of that meeting wasn't very clear if they supported them or not. And so it was like, well, I guess we'll come back and talk again, but
I mean, since we already have these voted on in the meeting minutes, so whatever month that was.
I think it was July. It was a long time ago. I went back and looked at
And
that.
I guess unless there's interest from the committee to revisit one or two of them, I think what we have standing for the committee is these ones that that the committee talked about and agreed to and passed, we can just incorporate those into our budget. And make it known to the commission that these incorporate the new rates as discussed with the parking advisory committee, and then if they want to, I guess, have further discussion, that's an option that we can do.
And, when are you gonna present the budget?
So I was thinking that we would do a budget presentation at the next meeting. As we're building it right now.
Yeah, are you talking to the commission or to you guys?
To the commission.
Yeah, so I was thinking we would come at the next meeting and give you all a budget presentation.
Okay.
And then our meetings with the commission, I think are in April, March, or like in March, April timeframe. So you do want to come to the committee before we meet with the commission to present to them, because they will ask us, did you talk about this with the committee yet?
And so what we want to present to them or to you is what we're going to present to them. And if you guys make any changes, want any changes to the presentation, we can make it before we present to the commission, so that what we present to them basically has been looked over by the commission or by the committee.
Do we know which ones we were waffling on?
I don't recall.
Wasn't it that? Raising those
These
part-time,
4-hour permits, $2.
right, I was thinking Julia might have had.
Well, look at it, I did a comment
Yeah.
on the side there.
And this one, instead of starting in FY, would start, well,
Yeah,
it would
that's
start,
why.
yeah, it would start at in July.
Yeah,
So at this point, all of them would just start in July.
Yep.
So,
good. All right, so the budget meeting will be next month.
Yes,
But,
yeah.
I think, we could probably talk about, the, employee parking, 4 hours at a time. Is it possible, go ahead, Sandy.
4 hours at a time, at one time, it seemed like they could just, once they got. Can they do any 4 hours? Can I show up at 11:10 and you can scan me and I get 4 hours off of it?
we have to designate a time frame.
Can they be the same, if I'm in one lot, can David have 8 to 12, and I got 12 to 4, you can have 10 to 2? Can we split them up like that?
I mean, that would just be a full day permit.
Yeah.
No, I can't authorize it to say you're gonna buy only a 4-hour permit. You can use it in the morning, he can use it in the middle of the day.
Yeah, not even that. I'm just thinking about, do we have the advantage? There's some people are going to want to work 8 to 4, 8 to 12. And some of our downtown populace is going to want to work over the noon food hours.
Those are our 3 permits that we have now.
Right, so we can ask, so I guess I say, if I go to buy a half employee permit, what am I locked into time wise?
Whichever you choose.
So right now, it exists as an AM, midday, or PM.
Okay,
And it's those 4-hour blocks at those times of day. What we don't have currently is if you just say you just want a 4-hour permit. You could either use it in the morning or in the afternoon. If that's not an option at the moment,
so they need to commit, when they buy that permit, they commit.
they gotta commit to a time frame right now.
And we don't share those at all, I wouldn't think.
Well, they're shareable, but just the more than one car, you can have more than one license plate on them still.
Okay.
But they can't be there at the same time. And right now, so I think we can ask Passport if it's a possibility that if we say it's a 4-hour permit and these are the time blocks, but if it gets used in the morning, then that's it. That for that day, it's a morning permit. Or if it doesn't get scanned until the first time, at 2 o'clock in the afternoon, then it's an afternoon permit for that day. If that plate hasn't been linked to a permit for that day at all yet.
But I
I
doubt.
don't know if that's a thing.
I doubt they'll be sharing much of that.
Well, we'll talk to Passport and see what our options are.
But yeah, that's the only way that,
My understanding was we missed that midday, so it's kind of like you pick four, either beginning or the end of the day, and
you know, there is a midday hour.
it's at midday.
What are the hours? Is it a
So
seven?
it's 8 to 12.
Yep.
Or
10 to
10 10 to 2, or it's 1 to 5. So those are the options, but I can ask that if you had an employee, or if you had 2 employees, right? You had one employee that works in the morning sometimes, one that works in the afternoon sometimes. As long as it's not the same day, would we be able to set it up to where, you know, this morning employee on Monday can use it, and this afternoon employee on Tuesday could use it? So it's still just one permit that's being used in more than one function? I don't know.
It'd almost be easier to say, here's the morning one, you can put. If you work Monday, Wednesday, Thursday, and the other works Tuesday, Friday, then they can share a permit and don't get too wild and
Right.
crazy about sharing a
It's just,
morning one with an afternoon one on a.
Right.
it's just what we have limitations on the software. What-
Right, I'm just saying, don't give us many choices, let's just say, this is a midday permit, so you can use it from 10 to 2, which one of your employees fit within that permit,
Mhm.
and then they can move days, but don't try to say. This one also could be a midday, this one could be an evening, I think that, not afternoon. I think that's
That
asking
works.
too much for your staff.
No, that works for me. That's how it works now.
Yeah.
So that's how they're already.
So I mean, that's something we really need to, for Alyssa, that's a really good point. Talking point would be. Employee.
We'll just see what options Passport has, because I mean, this is not a new problem. I'm sure the places have, they might have a solution, but.
I mean. Sorry. I think ideally what we were looking for is. To be able to flex the time.
You were looking
Currently,
for
you can't
4
do
hours.
that.
Yeah, that we talked to them about that in the past when we came up with this idea originally, and they're like, no, we can't just say. From the time it gets first read,
Yeah.
it's 4 hours, it's good for it. That's not a thing.
Although that's what they do with the free parking, right? The 2 hour free parking, they scan it and it starts the clock.
Right, that's a timed
Yeah.
version of it, but there's no payment method or permit or anything associated with it. That's where the rub comes in.
Okay. I think we stick with the three and
times.
the 3 times and educate, and if they're gonna be there longer than that, then you say buy a full-time permit. You
But
know,
we'll continue, we'll ask to see what options we have and we can bring those to you next meeting. And if there's something that appeals more than just the 3 times, then you guys can decide. on it.
Okay. One thing about next meeting is, when you go through the budget, we're gonna expect to see how you're gonna. Make the budget with. At $1.25 an hour, those rates.
Yeah, I'll use our data from Passport. So, you know, how many
Okay.
parking sessions have we had? What's the average length of a session? And then plug in $1.25 times that number of hours. Same thing with permits. I'll run how many active permits do we have for all of our different rate structures. Do the calculation to whatever the new rate would be, times that number of permits, that kind of, I'll do that. And
We'll
I'll
have
show
that
you
side by
math.
side.
Yeah,
Okay,
I'll show you that map to show how where the revenue number ends up at.
okay. I'm also interested, you know, we're losing so much per space, so much per minute. And I'm interested in how these rates are gonna change that number.
Mhm.
You know, like at $1.25 an hour specifically. Is that gonna put us, you know, where's that gonna put us as far as losses on those individual paid park spots? We had a loss, how much we were losing per year on. Per space. But, yeah. You know what I'm talking about? How much we were losing per year on. When you calculate maintenance and upkeep and everything.
Okay, I got you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I would like to know, is that gonna get us in the black or are we still in the red?
That's more in the lots and the garages.
But we also had one for pay to park.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well, it's all the pay to park now, but
yeah.
the maintenance and the deferred maintenance is mostly in the garages and
Mhm.
lots.
Yeah, I know,
Okay.
you're
You
talking
know
about
what
the
I'm talking
calculation we had, like a per space, this is how much per year it costs us. And this
Right.
is actually what the space
Right,
generates.
yeah.
We had that.
Yeah, we can show you
Well,
that.
I think you're just concerned that we raised the rates a quarter, but we really need 50 cents to make it get to the black.
Right.
And do we then just raise another quarter next year,
Mhm.
or do we just bite the big one and do $1.50?
I mean, and I can do I can do the multiple analysis. I can say if we only go a quarter, this is where it ends up. But if we went 50 cents, this is where it would end up. I can do that
Great.
just as easy.
I think that would be helpful. That'd be helpful. Okay, well, let's move on to updates.
Okay. Parking map, we showed you this, we haven't done anything other than we coordinated with the chamber. They're gonna take this map and make, you know, this stuff look a lot prettier than an engineer like me does. And so they're gonna create both maps, the parking and the permit map. So.
They
expect to
pay
see-
for them or they just create them?
No, they're gonna pay for them too.
Good job.
So we should have some minor update, some update for y'all next. Their goal is to get them done as quickly as possible because they, the TBID uses them quite a bit as the tourists start rolling in, so they want it finalized. Not only for the rollout of the wayfinding that the chamber and BID are working on, but to have these for, tourist season coming up. Cause it's actually not that far away, even though, we've had our,
And I assume there'll be a media story about the wayfinding sign, because there was a guy out here taking camera footage of the sign on the corner.
We have new signs.
So,
Not yet.
Oh,
not yet, but they're coming.
so they're all, these maps are all ready to go.
No, we're gonna basically give them our idea here there, and they're gonna make
And then
it look,
refine
they're
it.
gonna refine it and then get us a copy, which we'll show you next meeting. And then the chamber will get some printed up. The biggest thing is we'll have them digitally on the not only the website, but the My Helena app and chamber and the BID and the TBID and all that good stuff, so. And since they're kind of targeted at different groups now, instead of one map being for everything, the TBID and everybody can focus more on the, the public parking versus the, other people can focus on the permit stuff that are year round.
Yeah,
I think it'd be
Like
much
that better.
clearer.
Yeah.
The residential district letters, we sent them out. Nobody bought any more permits. So those districts that we sent them out for, will be bringing it forward to the commission to dissolve those districts. The one that I would like to talk to the committee before we bring forward is your district, Joan. Because there's a mishmash of 2 hour and basically I'll bring it up at the next meeting to see what you can think about it. Should we combine, because there's 2 districts over there, but it all basically is boiled down to one because everybody just buys out of the one. So actually one of the districts hasn't met the criteria.
How's the split for the 2 districts, or?
Basically, all the north-south are part of one district and the east-west are the other districts. Because the east-west streets, Hauser and Stewart, are all supposed to be only 2 hour. And then the north-south streets are all permit park.
Okay. you
So
said-
Getchell,
Yeah. Park is
Kessler
north.
and Park are permit only. And Hauser and Stewart are 2 hour park, even though yours is signed differently.
Right, and I don't get why they need to be 2 hour, why Hauser needs to be there.
That's what they requested when they.
Yeah, there's
originally
nothing
came.
there for I mean, I don't know how those apartment people park for 2 hours, or, I mean, it's just,
It's a weird,
Well, it's that permit and 2 hour.
Yeah.
place, so you could still have a permit and park there all day.
It's just that if you're public like that, when she could go park there for 2 hours. And as long as she stayed less than 2 hours, she wouldn't get a ticket because it's a 2 hour, or you get a permit, or in this case, your license plate gets put into the system.
Okay, I didn't understand you could park there all day for the 2 hour if you had a permit.
Yeah, if you have the residential permit, you can be parked there all day.
Well,
Otherwise,
and
it's
you
a
know,
2 hour limit.
no one hardly ever parks in any of those parking.
No, houses usually
Places.
pretty dead.
Right, I walk through that area and there's never anyone parked on both sides of the street.
So maybe
It's
that's the recommendation that, that we combine portions of it into one district and the other portion to. Because the problem with the Hauser ones, I don't have the original paperwork.
And it's a one-way street, which
Right.
is really.
I don't have the original paperwork on the houses that petitioned for that district. But the houses are all in the park district. So they're in two districts at once, so I don't think it contemplated that having two districts there. Or two houses on two different districts, or one house on two different districts, excuse me. So I think it needs to be one or the other, the park, the north-south, they either need to have the residential and the Hauser stuff goes away. Just because there's properties that are in two districts.
Well, it makes sense to me to make one district.
Yeah. So that would be something that maybe we could talk about.
I still have great issues with residential parking.
Well,
You know,
talk about bigger, different signs. That this said, this is residential parking, they're not really managing it, but just put it up, we talk about different signs.
Those signs are up that says residential parking.
it does, but no one pays any attention to them. Like, the busy her neighbor.
Well, I'm wondering if,
Or the sheriff from out of town that parks it for the law enforcement.
Right, those guys need to have double.
Oh, they get their tickets.
They need double
And they pay.
tickets. They're breaking the law.
well, basically the issue is evening and weekends, right?
Right, I mean, we have no issues during the day. except
And our enforcement is just during the day.
So that's the kicker though. Some residential districts are because of daytime, like the Billings district that over by Helena High.
Right. But
Some-
we know this is a special district.
Right, but there's others, and so.
that are- What about nighttime in like the Billings district when they have the basketball games and?
They don't go that
They-
far. They don't go that
don't
far.
go that
Football
far.
games, they park down in there, but we're not around to do anything about it.
Right, that's my point.
And that's the thing about it is that, when we're here normal working hours. There would be one rate in my mind, and if we were outside of those hours, like during special events. We would either have to have the guys flex their time so that they were actually just working regular hours during those events. Or overtime gets paid for those because they're over their hours, so. I think ideally. I don't think the original residential parking district resolution contemplated daytime and evening things.
Mhm.
I think they thought it was from what I've heard, it was created primarily because of Blue Cross Blue Shield's employees parking into
West side.
the housing area, so it made sense for 8 to 5 enforcement. Put up the signs, make the employees, move or park deeper into the residential areas. I don't think it really ever contemplated night games or civic center.
Well, and I think the reality is, no matter what you put up there. Whether you enforce it or not. There's gonna be a third of people that drive up and go, oh, residential parking, I'm gonna go park somewhere else. There's always gonna be somebody who's gonna park residential all the time. I think we make it simple and say, let's try to say to that district. We'll put signs up that say residential. And try to get people to push them into the garage, knowing that unless we're willing to pay for extra money. To take everyone off, we'll get tickets. And just try it as so you leave it as,
I don't-
well, like at the
I
Capitol,
understand.
you go by the Capitol right now on 9th Street, it
Uh-huh.
says residential parking.
Mhm.
But and it's a deterrent, so you're driving down there, you're like, I should park. Oh, maybe not. So those who actually read signs and are worried about getting in trouble aren't going to park there. But there's gonna be the resident
Say
that's it.
75% don't care, don't be.
And that's evidenced
And
by
so-
law enforcement parking right underneath.
Right,
Yeah.
residential.
there's 3 signs and they park and, last Saturday, my neighbor put up cones. And I don't know, you know, because there was a big to do at the Civic Center. So she put cones out around in her parking places.
I thought that the police department was occasionally,
They do, so.
yeah, patrolling.
They
after
ticketed
5.
it,
Yeah,
someone at my, you know.
Okay.
Well,
They are.
they're ticketing the residents of the guests.
Right,
They're not getting
They ticketed my
not getting
dog.
No, when the events are going through their ticket.
I've not seen any.
I mean, we-
Anyway, my thought is, it's not probably a great thought, but why bother? Why have it?
That's what I'm thinking. It's just,
It's like, people are gonna park there unless you have a car there. Whether you have residential parking or not. It's really not a deterrent, you know.
you know.
It's
Well,
a waste of
yeah,
time and money.
But I think we
for-
educate the people putting on the events and say, really try to push people, use the garage, use the garage.
And they do, but I think they only want to use the top level of the garage.
well, I know a
But-
guy downtown who was just outraged that he got a ticket after 5. In parking down there, and I thought, cause the police must have been.
Yep.
Yeah. But it turns out that now that Blue Shield has moved out, that's the parking problem is after 5.
Right.
Right.
And so, I mean, I don't know how,
I mean, you have to make a resolution to change it.
No, you, as an advisory committee, you make a recommendation to the commission saying, as the parking advisory committee and all the challenges of, XYZ program, we either say to, increase this or get rid of it. It's just that, and then whoever is the chair takes that or sends a letter to a memo to the commission saying, here's our recommendation. And then we can bring forward the information. And typically it's nice, like when we brought forward this stuff for the rates, Julia was there to make comment so that the commission can ask the committee, and then the commission takes action on it.
But in this case, we do know how people, residents down there are paid right now. How many is it? It's 2, isn't it?
well, I'm thinking about the other parts of the city that all the neighborhoods you've sent these letters out to. And what information you've gotten back, and if there's, and then I was trying to look at this stuff. If people really are,
They're down farther than.
We're just doing it one residential area at a time.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well, no, we went through them all,
yeah,
and there was 2 or 3,
Yeah, 2 or 3 districts that weren't meeting the requirement.
and there was 2 other ones that the signs have been taken down. Things have changed, and we're just getting rid of them because there's no residents there, like the one over by Carroll College where
Right.
Carroll bought those houses.
Mhm.
That one piece of park was a residential district, but now there's no residents there.
that's a lot.
There's a pile of trees.
So we're gonna just take that forward. There's one over on Logan that is done and gone. So there's a couple that are just housekeeping on our end, but there are 2 or 3 that didn't meet the criteria of that resolution of 50% of people buying the permits. The one thing that, just for food of thought, if you keep the residential permit going forward. The one is like this one, Lawrence. There's only space in that district that they describe for 12 permits. But that's the one that also abuts the Remington Apartments. And that's why you see 32 permits sold there, because the residents of the Remington Apartments bought permits, but their only spaces are 12.
so the Remington is
the red brick building behind the city county building here.
Okay, yeah.
Licensed to hunt.
So there's some other things that are challenging to these, and I think the intent was they were residential parking districts, not multifamily parking districts, because the streets that some of these places are on don't have the capacity to accommodate those, and that's, I think, where the adjacent residents to those, apartments and everything else, that's part of their problem, is when the other people have 2 or 3 cars, then they're parking on the street, and that doesn't leave any space for guests.
Yes.
But big cities just, they move around and they park and they just kind of, just figure it out.
Well, we're in Helena, Montana, and
Well, I was,
my friend,
Well,
if I can't park in front of them, I won't. I mean, there's that attitude, I think, but how many districts are there total? Total,
Dozens or so.
And
so the one that Jones,
well, I can find.
how
This-
many
this is
people have
just
bought
my
permits?
your attitude is no signs, just let it be willy-nilly.
There's
so it's
3,
like it is.
Yeah,
and she owns all 3 of them?
yeah.
Okay, so you're it. You're the entire,
And she's like, I'm done with them.
But,
It's just people still park.
so I'm still confused about that. What about, so the Getchell that goes north and south, right? That's a different district.
Yes.
And there's a ton of them. In the 2 apartment buildings next to my house,
They double park.
and they double park. So my only thing about getting rid of it, I'm not sure where, they could come around the corner and park in front of my house. Instead of double park, sometimes they do.
so you're saying that's the risk of getting rid of. What street are you on? You're on
Stewart,
Stewart.
the
Okay,
corner of Stewart and Getchell.
okay, so if you got rid of the parking district on Stewart, it's entirely possible that everybody on Gatchel
Would come around.
would come around and park in your house.
Unless we also.
Well, and I don't really care about that.
I understand Sandy's point, but if there's no teeth to it, they're gonna figure out that they can park there without it.
Right, right. Well, yeah, and I think, I'm saying that's okay. Well, I think what you do is you say, hey, this is residential parking. And there's a sign that says, garage over here or whatever. Or you gotta notify them, so people at least either be good people or bad people, but the people that are willing to try, and I drive up and I see for your lot. And I find myself driving by your house going like, well, I know Dennis and Joe, and I'm like, that doesn't count.
Right.
So I make a decision to park somewhere else, and so I wonder if we can just kind of remind people that it's a residential area. And we don't care if they double park on Getchell, because it doesn't matter if it's northeast or south, it's all one district.
So like Jones District is technically Stewart and Hauser. That was passed in the resolution 1161.
So
They're-
2 street.
They're part of one district. For some reason, parking separated them in the past, so that's why we have these 2. But on Stewart, there's one property, your property.
I have a neighbor that's on right across the alley from me.
She's parking for free.
No, she always has a permit.
Oh,
And
well,
she's
then,
gonna so it's like she lives on the corner of Park and Stewart.
Her
And I
address
know
must
that-
stay parked. Her address must stay parked.
So there's,
The front door's on.
so there's 2 residents on the Stewart Street that are buying permits, is that correct?
1 or 2, yes.
Yes.
Okay, well,
But it's technically part of this, the way the resolution was written, it's part of this one and this one. So technically there's 7 and there's 7 permits sold, so they meet the criteria to keep the district. Whereas, like this one, Benton, south of the city county building. There's 13 properties in the district and only 3 permits. And nobody came. So that letter was sent out.
So they're paying for parking, their neighbors aren't. And are their neighbors getting tickets? That's,
Well, they should be.
No way.
Logan. And then Broadway. Again, there's,
So you're getting tickets from here, or they're getting tickets from the police?
So either can take,
Right, I know, but, yeah, are the police really down there doing many tickets? Probably not.
the police do issue tickets on the residential.
Okay.
I can't tell you how many a month they do, but they do issue tickets, just like the state patrol issues tickets around the Capitol for us as
I'm
well.
looking at a bigger picture, so we've got, hey, come down and drink, as long as you drink after 5, you don't have to pay for parking. Stay all night downtown in the downtown district. But if you go to a show, the civic center, all of a sudden you have to pay for parking, but you might not know that. You get a ticket and you wanted to go to Silver Star later anyway.
You don't have to pay the parking schedule after 5.
Right, I was saying. I just think we have mixed messages. You know, it's free in most of downtown at night. Unless you have to be at the civic center. And if the police happen to be out and about, you might get a ticket.
Well, they're not paying for parking there, they're just getting ticketed for parking spot there.
Right, I'm just saying, but we have all these little hodgepodge things that we have in general in Helena. And how can we clean it up? So I mean, the question is, that works for you, but what about Pete Lenmark up there on Warren? Up in his plot where he can't really rent out his property because there's no parking. I mean, I just think we should.
Does he have?
I
Yeah,
think you make, I mean, it's
I know
like,
it's a bigger issue.
Yeah,
And I don't wanna,
but the problem is. You meet the criteria
Mhm.
for residential parking.
and people do use it, I believe.
Yeah. Now, some of these other areas where the letter was sent,
Mhm.
you basically told them, we're gonna discontinue this because you don't meet the criteria.
Yes.
So, but,
And we gave them a month to come in and buy permits and
None of them did.
not one permit.
which is great, because we're streamlining this
yeah,
process.
yeah.
But back to your case, we'd have to separate it back into you specifically, your street specifically, in order to.
well, my recommendation on here,
Okay.
2B is Park and Getchell. These are all part of the same resolution. And part of the problem is that you have houses facing different streets, so some, like you see all these zeros.
Yeah.
Or low numbers, that's because people are parking on, or getting a permit on park, but not houses, because their front door fronts door. So my thing is I agree with Joan that Hauser just doesn't ever really have anybody parking there. So maybe we combine Jones, Stewart, Park, Getchell, and Kessler
I think
as
we do.
one district, as a residential parking district. And then either ask, because there's no residents fronting Hauser. Just get rid of that and make that, 2-hour parking like it's signed now.
Yeah.
And then people can park there without having to agree.
Right, I mean, I'm just. Yeah, I think that's.
Was there anybody who would park there for 2 hours? I mean, is that just a waste of?
So there's a professional office on the corner of Benton and Hauser.
Okay.
I'm sure those folks are parking
Yeah.
there because there's
The
not.
apartment building there.
And I mean, half the street, we could say the north half is 2 hours, south half is, regular public parking. We don't have to decide that tonight, but I'm just saying there's options to make that a little bit more friendly. Because of the way that it was originally set up, I don't think they looked and see that the people on Hauser were actually fronting park, and there was already a district there.
There is that on Getchell and, there's apartments on Getchell. And Hauser, and then there's apartments on Benton and Hauser. Okay.
And those are excluded from districts, or the one on Hauser is.
Okay, and then there's permit parking. On Getchell down. Past Hauser. I think. And along a few thought so. And,
That's different.
well, yeah, I would think
Yeah.
you know, there's like a. Whatever.
That's
VRBO or
part of the
something on the
residential
corner,
Yeah.
and they,
Oh, okay.
On Park, as you go further north, one side of the road is street permit parking, one side is residential.
And are people using it that way, or is it, there's no, one if they haven't bought a residential ticket, is that residential parking just staying empty?
So,
Okay.
so Park Avenue has 37 properties adjacent to it, and there's 22 permits sold. So that's not including guest permits, that's just primary residents.
Yeah, so that's a very legitimate area.
Yeah,
for-
it's
Yeah.
all related to. I used to have a friend that lived on Park and they were constantly.
And I think some of this is going to
parking
change,
on some cities.
because that big green area by Carroll isn't always gonna be a green area.
Yeah,
Well, I think we all kind of agree to make them one this,
Yeah, well, I'll bring it up because this wasn't on the agenda.
Right,
yeah.
To make a decision.
so if we,
I know, but that's how we're headed that way then. Then the decision is, do we leave it with residential parking permits, or do we just let them willy-nilly that whole area on your own?
well, my understanding is Dave's gonna write up a proposal. We can vote on, yeah, and we can modify it if it's not,
I also don't think it's the thing that we don't need the residential parking there. It's just that it's not forced when we need it.
yeah.
And that's
That's
where I
the
think,
thing.
and that's where I think we revamped the entire district.
Yeah.
For the entire residential parking program, so it better fits the needs. But also, yeah, but that'll take a couple meetings to hash out.
Yeah, and I'm gonna take.
We're going out and talking to your people at those 22 to find out how they're using it.
Well, I know how they're using it. You know, I mean, I walk in the neighborhood and it's people parking in front of their houses. And, you know, they have them because they're parking when anything happened at the civic center, their parking was gone. And so they're very,
Right, but no one's managing it, basically.
well, during the day they do, but yeah, that's just what we said. It's like, the problem isn't that it's residential, it's that it's not enforced at night.
Yeah, but I think there's an opportunity to change that by enforcing it a little bit at night. Which is the city police, right?
If they have time.
If they have time, but I mean, we can always look at, like I said, flexing our PCOs, it's just.
Well, I go back to the residents. I mean, the residents. Are they okay with what if they did willy-nilly, if there was no parking for,
I don't think they'd be okay with that. I mean,
if there was just some 2-hour parkings here and there and.
well, there is currently some 2-hour parking. But, yeah, I mean, it shows how many people buy their permit parked, so it's
Yeah.
important to them.
They buy it,
To
but the
me,
question is it
too.
working for them?
Well,
That's the
yeah,
question.
I mean, it doesn't work on that. Anyway,
So usage right now. Um. The big one that I told the chamber and MVAC we'll be talking about is the chamber parking lot. See what we can do with that because it's kind of no man's land right now. We upped the 6th Avenue. So the capacity is actually 402, but we upped it 5%, so we're actually selling up to 422. That's why you see there's 409 permits sold. Even though you drive through there at any point in time and half of it's empty.
Yeah.
We get people telling us that we should oversell it by, 100 permits, but I keep going back to the fact that if I bought a monthly permit, I expect that there's gonna be a space there when I come. It's not first come, first serve. I think we, have a potential of losing customers if that opportunity for them.
Where they gonna go?
Yeah, I think it's something that you do progressively.
Yeah, I think you try, like we talked about, 10%.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we'll incrementally see where this kind of the sweet spot is. I mean, we'll never get it right
No.
perfect, but it'll work out.
Yeah.
So we're running pretty much traditional, you know, vacancies on all these garages other than the ones that are permit only. The lots are fluctuating a little bit, but nothing, no big swings of usage or not no usage. Just to be clear, the first column is the total number of parking spots, including ADA. So when we actually, or when we put it into our system into Passport, if there was 402 total spots in 6, but 20 of those are ADA, we don't sell up to the 402. We sell minus the ADA. Yeah.
Even though we're selling past the total number
Yeah.
of spaces.
Yeah.
Cause we keep getting told it's empty. And we have people that are asking for permits still in those
I think you
garages.
try it until there's a squeak.
Yeah.
Well,
I mean,
because
the
it all-
guys are driving through there every day. There should be.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
I mean,
I mean, we've got different issues in different neighborhoods, I mean, the different uses of the.
So that's how the usage are. The tickets are still, average time is about 2 hours.
Yeah, not much has changed as far as parking sessions go. Still right at that 2 hour and 15-minute mark. Tickets are. So if we can kind of talk about budget stuff under the usage updates, if you want to pull up the PowerPoint. So I had planned to do this at the last meeting to give you guys a mid-year update on the budget. So I kept it a little simple, but this kind of gives you an idea of where we were at the end of December. And so in our pay to park, on the revenue side of things at the top, what we budgeted for pay to park for the whole year was $450,000. We've currently brought in about $180,000, so we're running a little bit light on the pay to park side. But that's kind of it's one of those things where we make more money in tourist season, just like everybody does.
When
So,
people are talking, it's slower,
so
so it makes sense.
So the pay to park part is not quite up to snuff as far as mid-year goes. Permits, right? We're at almost $1 million of the $1.4 million budget. And again, that's mostly because a lot of our big accounts like State Fund, like all those that buy, $100,000, and State Fund is $360,000 at one time, and they pay that in July. So the rest of what we have from January until June is pretty much monthly permits. And there's a healthy number of those. I mean, it generates about $40,000 to $50,000 a month on the monthly permit side. So we'll be pretty right in line by the time we get to the end of June for permit budgets. And then tickets, it's funny, so that number is both we have meter violation tickets, which those are the $10 ones. Then we have the overtime and the other like restricted violations, we call them. Those are the $25 tickets. The $25 tickets are kind of blowing it out of the water right now. That was I think the total amount for that one was like $40,000 or $45,000, and we've already done $38,000 halfway through the year.
But that's people picking,
So those are the people staying more than the 2 hours, the free spot, parking in a yellow zone, those kinds of tickets. So those ones, I mean, we've already kind of hit our mark as far as budget goes halfway through the year. But then the other tickets, we've only done, like $15,000 worth of $70,000 budget. So
so
I
they're
think the
not,
people that are in the paid areas, it seems like they are paying. even though our pay to park money is kind of low. So it goes back to your point, Sandy, where things are just kind of slow. So the people that are coming, they seem to be paying for the most part, because we're not issuing a lot of $10 tickets. But
And so it's just the people that are playing the game of, I'm gonna park it into our parking longer than I should. And I can either pay $25 if I get caught.
Yeah.
Or it's free because I don't wanna buy a permit.
and we're catching them.
Yeah.
Because I mean, like I said, we're issuing a lot of those and they're getting paid.
So I mean, that's the guy that wants to take a risk. So that's good. We'll make
Yeah.
more money off them.
So yeah, so revenue overall year to date, halfway through about 60%. And again, it's that weird kind of, even though it's halfway, it's, it's not exactly half and half. And then on the expense side of things, so personnel out of our $650,000 budget that pays all the people, we're at 285. That's less than half, which is because we've had a vacancy for most of the year with one way or another when it comes to a PCO. So it feels like every time we get up to fully staffed with all three of our PCOs, something happens in a few weeks and one of them leaves again.
So you're saying personnel is it you guys? You're not that.
There's a small piece for like David and myself that comes out of parking.
But where's all that money? Where's this $650 going? You have 3 PCOs.
Well, but it's also, we have a supervisor, we have two maintenance guys.
Okay,
Two
there you go.
maintenance guys, yeah.
Okay.
So, yeah, the majority, the reason we're not exactly at 50% halfway through the year is because of the PCO vacancy.
Right, okay.
And if we only get to say 575 because of the vacancy savings, then that extra money that was budgeted just goes back into our.
Drops in the bank, it goes to reserves. And then on the operating budget, so that's all the other stuff that isn't personnel and isn't capital. That's paying our everyday bills, buying nuts and bolts, doing maintenance, that kind of stuff. So that one is pretty close to about halfway. It's a little bit over, but depending on the time of year as well, right? Like I said, it's kind of all perspective. Saying that we're at a mid-year and we should be 50% is relative, And then the capital, so far we spent about 10, so that's 7,000 of that is going to be the first loan payment on the new vehicle. So we did get that pushed through, so they have a nice, basically brand new vehicle now. We're not worried about it breaking down. We're not worried about them freezing if it ever decides to get cold here again. And then the other 3,000, those are some of those smaller projects that we're trying to extend. We had that $45,000 to address all the garage and lot maintenance that we know we can't afford with $45,000. So we had the maintenance supervisor, James. We had him try to be a little creative about how we approach some of those things. So we took the list from that consultant. And we said, what are the low hanging fruit things that our guys could tackle that we could do in-house and just buy materials? And so one of those is like the sealing the cracks here at Jackson. So Jackson, they went up, they're with our own staff in-house, went and cleaned out all of those connections, scraped everything out of there, and they got, for lack of a better term, some Flex Seal type stuff, and put it all back with that. It seemed to have been working. A lot of the leaks that were going through those connections have stopped. So that's how we're trying to make that 45,000 go as far as it can. So come spring, we'll have a lot more of those projects on deck so we can use up the rest of that money. And so, yeah, so I mean, year to date, we're just under halfway. And so I think that's good. We'll continue that trend. And I think on the expense side, we'll probably come out, somewhere around 90% of our total budget. Most of it will be vacancy savings from that PCO position, kind of constantly turning.
And our admin position.
And yeah, if y'all remember Kara, she's
The one who moved here for the job?
yeah. So she's actually going to go work for the Civic Center as their admin. It's a promotion to a next level of admin. So we're trying to backfill that now as we can.
Okay, I have a couple questions on the budget. One is, did you guys put in or talk to community development about a tip grant?
So prior to, there was some priorities set by the city manager. Those I think have been met. TIF has more money, so we will be submitting a TIF grant for that amount that we had all agreed on to start addressing some of the ADA and landscape and beautification stuff. That's great news.
And is there a deadline when they'll start distributing? And we need to get in and say we wanna be in this.
So it's kind of tough because right now they don't have a full TIP board to make those decisions. So
That's not DAD, that's TIF board.
It's gonna happen pretty quickly.
Yeah, I just wanna make sure that we don't miss the boat and all of a sudden have a chunk of it go to somewhere else that.
Good point.
yeah, no, so the latest update we heard just last week, I think, from the community development director was that they are trying to fill those seats because they do have applications and projects that they want to vote on and approve, but they can't because they don't have enough board members yet. So yeah, we
So
are.
I think, at least I know that I'm concerned that we get it done.
So
Sooner than later, so we
we'll
don't lose it.
try to get that application submitted in the next couple of weeks.
My understanding is they have applicants and they're working on it for the TIF board.
I mean, we still need another on Broadway experience.
No,
Well, that's been brought up numerous times. Just to
Yeah.
let you know.
I know, but I mean, but I can see it happening, like, oh, well, we got a quorum together, so we just had these three and we versus.
I have.
Yeah.
I have.
Didn't
have
you
a
say
good
that
feeling.
one last year?
That's when the priorities of the city came into play. And we were,
Yeah, we provided it as
I thought
one
you
of our
submitted.
requests to manager. And the manager decided which ones would go for the city.
To the TIF board.
Yeah.
Well, as applications.
Yes.
To-
Yeah.
and we didn't make that on that one, but that's all right.
Okay.
There's only
Thank
so
you.
much money to go around, so.
And we just want to get started.
That one I already gave. Did you update this one?
No, that one's still from last time.
That's it for the updates from the city staff.
Okay. I'm gonna suggest that we wait until we have the full board to elect the committee chair.
Well, you're in trying to sell that time, so.
I agree.
Hey, and then we were gonna talk about the survey. Oh, committee
So what I want,
priorities came in. It's not on my.
List.
so, basically what this is for is when the position gets filled and Christopher's back and the full board is set to make sure that we're working on the things that you want us to be working as a committee. So when everybody gets fully seated, then that's just something for you guys to think about, just to make sure that, again, what we're going for us to.
Can we get together as a work session, make it open to the public if they want, and have a conversation amongst us as a committee and say, what do we think our priorities are downtown? And what, so that we look at.
I mean, that's kind of what this is.
Right, but we have to do it within.
But if you have a quorum, then it's gonna have to be agendized.
Yeah.
But can we just do a work session, a brainstorm session? And open to the public? How does we do
Good,
that?
if you think public are gonna show up to a work session instead of this, because this is open to the public too.
Right, but here we have certain time and, or zip it, I would like to have a conversation with like where are the issues?
We could just say our next meeting is a work session. And we have an, agenda to establish committee priorities.
Yeah.
So you want more of like an open house? than-
Well, I don't necessarily want the public there. I mean, the public's fine to come if they've got some input for us. But I wanna have a conversation with us as, what is our priorities? Do we wanna, is it TIF? Is it making people happy? Is it residential? Is it, what do we want the downtown to look like? How do we take the information from the survey? And say, now we have people that aren't really complaining about the money. So what's our philosophy? Is it gonna be we raise it every year? Is it gonna be let's just bite the bullet and do it for? And just that kind of a philosophy conversation about why are there only 3 people in the district that care? And you're all 3 of them. You know,
But I think that I would like to do that because if we follow our agenda like Julia would keep us on.
she's
You're
rolling.
doing a great job.
Yes, truly.
Your little
I don't
monologue,
have to say
and I appreciate that. There was never time really to,
But I'd like
Really
really
work
the
through
BID, the BID and saying, well, and the chamber, a few people would say, what are we doing if we counteract it? And, you know, we're making decisions that affect other people's lives.
I think the issue is, with the agenda that we're going through, like next, or I mean, month. Like next month, we're gonna be going through the budget. There isn't time to sit down and have like what the BID does is they have a retreat, which actually doesn't take that long. It just takes a couple hours, but
Yeah.
and where we put together our list of priorities for the year. And we
I think
Yeah.
that's
kind of
what you're
discuss
talking
what.
about.
Yeah. Well, I'd like to hear from you guys and say, you know what really is a pain for us is X, Y, Z. We can't do anything about it, and so we can look at it differently. And how can we help you guys do your job better? How can you help downtown be more successful? And taking some of this information versus just, like making decisions based on 2 people who are grumpy. I mean, I would like to talk to PCOs and say, are there issues out there that we need to know about? There are 3 chronic people that we need to talk to, and it's not you guys talking to them, maybe it's one of us talking to them. Is it going to the property owners and saying, like the state fund, one of the conversations that we had in December was, can we sub that out? Can we go to the state fund and say, there are people who want to park down here?
Yeah, they can
There's-
sub it out wherever they want.
Right, but can we help them find that information? Or is it, one of the questions we had was, who was like, Great Northern has no parking. How's that working for them? Are they making money? Are they charging? How does that blend fit? I mean, all of us were like, really? We didn't know they were enforcing their own parking down there. Because the public is seen as all as one group. So if you get a ticket down in the Great Northern, they're gonna be mad at you guys, because you're the ones on the street. And those kind of things, then it goes to talking points of how do we educate the public as well as we can to say, hey, you don't want parking? Great, well, there goes your garages, there goes your things, there goes your employers. I think putting any information out, like, you don't have to say the name of things, but state fund, they pay $330,000 in parking. So you just said something like that.
360 or
360. Well, that's a huge number to say. You're over here whining about $1.50 an hour or $1.50. We want you to know there are some people who are really committed to downtown. And they are, what are you laughing at?
They have a contract, so they're all.
Yeah,
They're obligated.
Well, I know, but I mean, but me as Joe, I'm talking about the Joe Schmo. What we learned in that survey is there's a couple little people that are poking the bear, and we're reacting to that. Versus saying, okay, power block people, are you happy with what you got? Because you're the ones dropping a ton of money every month for parking.
Well, that one guy was.
Yeah,
There it comes.
I mean, so kind of a bigger picture of, we've gotten down to, the last thing I want to see is your talking points of, it's only $1.50.
So I'm just gonna say from the staff's perspective, that what we have for workshops, like when the BID hosted, that's what we're gonna get for a work session. I mean, that's every time we've had like an open house or a workshop like that, it's more wants than solutions being brought to the table.
Okay, he's right. I mean, we had workshops. And there were people that would show up with kind of non-solutions, like, we need to make parking free downtown. And those people are still out there, we know who they are.
Right, but we know.
We have
One
their
of our
opinion.
priorities could be, and I think it's, excuse me,
No, go ahead.
one of the priorities or one of the things, if we could all get together and hash it out.
Yeah,
Is, I mean, that's all communication and communicating with the public, communicating with business people. And that was one of our priorities. Wasn't that what we call, they weren't our priorities, but our three,
Yeah,
what do they call it?
your roles and responsibilities, for basically the committee itself.
Right. So if we could get together and, maybe that would all be one of our priorities on how to
Yeah.
better reach the public, or, do we want to fight more about residential? Or, I mean, I think if we could get together and just brainstorm, then we could
yeah, and just see, I mean,
put
like,
those down on paper.
and I want you.
Not that it would be a workshop to invite the public. in
Yeah, I mean,
to join.
yeah, it's not a workshop.
They could come.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, if the three of us get together and talk about it,
How
we have to,
about,
it has to be an open meeting.
So-
Totally.
right, so if we started the meeting at 2:00, then we spent 2 hours
Yeah.
talking about our priorities, then we went into the general meeting.
Whatever, I mean, I would like to be able to have a
All on the
conversation.
same day, then we could establish our priorities. We would spend 2 hours just establishing priorities for the board.
Mhm.
And then, or the committee, and then we would go into our general meeting.
Or whenever, it doesn't matter. If it's-
Yeah, and
That's
then
a
it would,
Yeah.
we could advertise that to the public.
Yeah.
This is what we're gonna do, just go out like a general meeting.
I mean, I want you guys to be able to come to us and say, our PCOs are getting ripped up one side and down the other.
So, I mean, to be perfectly honest, and I don't wanna say this too much out loud, but it's been relatively quiet.
Good.
The PCOs we haven't got a lot of feedback. We've had, people like the lady that came in complaining about this, that, or the other thing.
You better knock on wood.
But particle board. But
But I mean,
the PCOs haven't had a bunch of interactions that we've been made aware of. It's been a mild winter, so we haven't had the complaints about the shoveling or the ice in the garages or anything like that. So, I don't want to say that everything's hunky dory. We have our issues and we have a lot of things to work on. But what you're talking about, like the committee, like the priorities, is just like the commission did when they established their strategic plan, so that they had moving forward, everybody was on the same page that these are the things we're gonna work on. And I don't think that's a bad thing, because then, the committee, when the public asks, well, yeah, that fits in this priority, we're not really focused on that right now.
yeah,
This is what we're focused on, and it gives a simpler message, I guess, for folks, but.
yeah, I mean, I just want something so we can all support. You might have a great idea. Like, this changed, this would make X, Y, we don't know that because we're not on the street. We also, then we're on the street with our constituents. And they're saying, oh my God, I can't find places for my employees.
Well, I think,
Or whatever the
Yeah.
issues could become.
I think when we have to make a presentation to the commission, right? And we're gonna have to tell them what we're gonna do next year.
Mhm.
And so I think that's an idea. If we showed up at 2 instead of 4.
Yeah.
we
I
could
mean,
have-
it's something, someone coming and saying, hey, there's TIF money available. We're like, ooh, how do we make sure we have access to this? And you guys know, we know, and then it's
Well, the
like that.
beautiful thing is now we're actually in the process now, which is.
Right, but I mean, as we get information. it's like-
Unless we don't want to clean up parking structures, whatever.
Well, I mean,
That could not be one of our priorities.
but we also heard there's someone coming down into the Great Northern? I heard that at one of the meetings. There's somebody looking to be down here, right? Bigger company?
Nothing official, I mean, there's always.
That was the Sixth Avenue park. But there was a company that wanted to buy.
I thought it was down at the state fund parking lot.
Hmm.
Yeah, I mean, can we work with state fund? Is it worth, saying? Is it worth them to
So the way that it's set up right now is that, yeah, there could be some advertisement done by the BID or on the parking page. But they manage their own permit.
Right,
They can't manage-
but what if we go to them and say, we've heard there's a lot of people frustrated down in your neighborhood about parking. Do you know that you could sub out these and let them handle their own
Oh,
thing?
they know.
They know.
I know, but we're going to them saying, you can help us. We got people that are downtown, like the yarn store. Across the street, like, we hate it. We can't park here for 2 hours. And then we have to go somewhere else and back and forth and back and forth. And we need to be able to say, well, you can buy a permit through state fund. And it's cheaper, or whatever it is. But we're responding to what it is it's making the business people happy. And maybe it's making state fund happy, maybe it's a pain to do that, but we solved the problem, which is people are frustrated because there wasn't parking down there, or they're having to move it all the time. I'm just thinking, those
Well-
kind of conversations is what I'm looking at doing.
My agenda didn't have the our potential goals on there, like if you scroll up a bit,
Oh, the committee.
the committee priorities. So is that something we want to do, is spend a couple hours, we can,
Yeah, find our priorities.
yeah, so
And I would like BID to show up in the chamber, invite them to.
So you wanna schedule basically a workshop meeting for 2 to 4 on the next 12th. Right?
But if we just wanna
Yeah.
work on it, do we, I mean, it's gonna be an open meeting.
Yeah,
you just advertise it and people show up or they won't,
yeah.
and they probably won't.
And do we want staff or we do the committee? Sure. Okay. Yeah, I mean, I just want to get things moving
Okay,
and I want people.
all right, so that would be the next meeting, is that,
Do we wanna wait till,
oh, till we get a full board?
well, maybe not, but
No,
at least
I-
tell Christopher.
I think that the challenge is gonna be we're gonna have to make a meeting for a presentation to the commission. Coming up. It has to be,
And
didn't you say that was March?
our budget meetings will be late March, early April, so. I think you guys probably don't have to finalize everything in the next meeting, but it would be helpful so that we could craft the budget around some of the priorities.
Yeah, I mean, I think we should move on and
Yeah,
if we have to catch it next year budget, we catch.
okay,
You guys need to get on with what you need to do for your.
So I know we already went through some of this. Julia had it on here. I don't know how much more in depth we want to go.
Well, I think we use that when we're looking at our priorities.
Yeah,
yeah,
the biggest one was this one, I thought. That. If you took out the dollar or the $1.50, they were all right in line with, and even everybody under $1 only summed up to 56 responses. So it doesn't appear,
And this is what?
this was the question about
What would
if
you pay?
you, what would you pay?
Oh, okay.
And most people are at the $1.50, but if you look out here at $2, there's 94 responses, so that's really close to, or the number of responses for the dollars, so.
yeah, so maybe we should revisit the $1.25, I mean. I just don't know what kind of pushback we're gonna get, but. Based on the survey results.
Well, I think our issue is more of what will make downtown thrive? And everyone's putting it on parking, and what we're finding here is people don't really care how much it is, basically. They're worried about the convenience of it. And the kiosks, we know the kiosks are the big challenge because they're troublesome. I mean, they take a little bit of challenge. I mean, they're not friendly.
But they're not going away.
And they don't need to go away.
Yeah.
But what we need to do is figure out, where are we getting stuck? Where are you getting people coming in and saying, I want to be downtown, but I can't permit things? Where's,
I think, one thing I heard today was that the people in the, Mount Ascension building are just loving parking. They're like, you guys got rid of all those lollipop parking meters. And it has increased our business. Everybody's just loving this. And I'm like, well,
Thank you.
got some credit for something.
What is?
Very busy in there.
Yeah,
Yeah, I mean, I think we just need to look at those neighborhoods and, you know, and look at, say, the library is figuring it out. They've got 30,000 people a month that goes to that building.
but I mean.
And they got, what, 12 spots in front
The,
and they managed to make it work.
Yeah, there's always.
the great thing about this is. I mean, it's not a majority, but. Per our survey. The most people wanted would pay $1.50.
Right.
That's pretty interesting to me.
Right, what we focus on, what are the rates, and that's not the issue. The issue, as we
No.
talked about, is why are you not shopping downtown?
Yeah.
You know, like Chris was saying, because you are closed before we get out of work. You don't.
So out of 435 responses that are in here, 316 of them said that they would pay somewhere between $1 and $2.
Yeah, that's pretty significant, especially for those people that downtowners think, well, all parking should be free. It's hanging us up.
And I just need to build it, we've got some information now, we need to then back up. Whoever's having any things to, yeah, we need to go to the two businesses that are complaining the most. And educate them and say, what's the scoop? And then they might not ever get it. And then you kind of say, well, this is life.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like you bought your house next to the civic center.
Yeah, what was that?
That comes with, it was there before you were.
Okay, rub it in.
You know, hey, I live by Guthrie, so,
Yes. Oh, and the great, and grateful for it.
and don't forget the hip hop shop.
Is
Oh,
there,
great. I haven't seen that.
okay, is there anything else we want to cover on the survey?
I don't, I mean, I
It
think
wouldn't hurt to
this,
look at that during
I
the.
think this will be
Yeah.
a good thing for you guys to, I mean, we can resend the entire survey back out to you. So you can look at it and talk and bring something up during the priority meeting,
Mhm.
but. I think the priority meeting is gonna answer some of these questions that are on the agenda.
What's this gonna give our thing when people say, well, it's gonna be $1, no one's gonna pay more than $1, like, well, yeah, you know what? 80% of the people said they would. End of discussion.
Yeah,
And. Alicia and anybody that travels outside that goes to places that have parking. There's every model under the sun.
Oh, yeah.
There's places that increase their parking fees between Memorial Day and Labor Day to capture the additional revenue of the tourists. And most tourists don't care if they're paying $2 or $3 to park their vehicle. There's places that do, different things. So I think creativity, using some creativity
Yeah,
to maybe craft this that, I don't know, in a way. I think about when I was in Vegas and we could go to a dinner and show during the off season. If you showed your Nevada ID, you got basically 2 for 1. You could go to a show and dinner, and they had a special menu. You went and you had your dinner and you went to the show because that was how they, kind of gave back. I don't know how we would apply something like that to parking, but I think that there's a lot of things that we can do to be creative about approaching this maybe a different way instead of just a carte blanche for doing $1.25
Yeah.
or $1.50.
well, looking at the big picture. So we're going to penalize anybody who wants to go to the civic center by not parking correctly, and we ask the police department to ticket them. But we don't ticket if you're in the wrong spot of a Blackfoot. We don't ticket at the Capitol. And,
No, we take it.
well, I mean, saying, we have some confusing zones. So how do you know when you've crossed the line into the civic center land that you're now might get a ticket if you're not in the right spot?
You're in the BID.
Right, but I mean,
You read the sign that says residential.
I think that's part of our issue is that, we start with it and we start poking the bear.
Maybe we should up the cost of the ticket in residential.
So that is part of the,
But I'm looking at the bigger picture. Do we really want to say, come to Helen, it's a cool place to live, work and play, and you're gonna get a ticket?
well, I think most people are
There are a lot
from out of town. They don't.
No, but the
That's
locals,
on relative.
I mean, just think about, it. Okay, you fill the house with Symphony, we're like, yay, Symphony's downtown. They bring in all those things, they got people eating and drinking before the symphony, it's a great deal to be here. And, you know, 50 people walk outside and have tickets, $25 tickets on their windows. And their whole experience downtown just went,
But it's probably gonna be half a dozen people. Yeah.
but I mean, is that what we want, I'm saying, I'm looking, is that what we want to promote as a positive thing for
It's the more
downtown?
people that-
You know, I mean, it's that piece where, you know, we say, do you hate parking? Well, of course, everyone's gonna say they hate the park, they hate the parking. Anyway, I just think we need to look at a bigger picture of how do we make downtown healthy.
So,
Where were you going with that, David?
oh, I was just saying that, in our fees that were changed. And I'm struggling to find, we made the fees the same. So we increased the parking tickets in Time area to $30 and the pay to park was increased to $30. So there is not a chain, it's just consistent. And
I mean, we had that discount line in that if you paid it within the 2 days.
yeah,
Yeah,
it was
And
half.
so that's where we differed before. It was our recommendation was just to go to 30. Committee's recommendation was to go to 25. And then give only a $10 discount. Whereas ours was 15. So it still ended up being, you know, a $15 ticket at the end of the day if you paid it within the 2 days, no
Yeah.
matter which way you looked at it.
yeah. Well. Yeah, I think that.
Yeah.
Well, and again, the philosophy is, we're gonna tell them they got a $30 ticket. But go here because there's free parking, go here because it's cheap parking, I mean, we're saying, if you got a problem, either. Park where you're supposed to park. Versus, yeah, downtown's always trying to get money, more money, the city's always trying to get more money, that's not the issue, we're trying to manage the lease.
Well, I think that message goes to the map. So when the map is
Yeah.
launched, here's the map. Find the spot that's right for you.
Exactly,
Are you gonna put the ticket amounts on those areas too?
Well, I mean,
About
the
the
nice part is
tickets,
if we go to this schedule, then it doesn't matter. All the tickets are the same price. So no matter where you park, the ticket is the ticket.
Yeah.
And then it's more about the map saying, here's your options. If you want free or paid parking, here are your options. Make sure you're in the right place.
So you can pay $25 or you can pay your ticket within 2 days and get $10 off, pay 15, which is still more than what we're getting now.
And we're gonna,
Or you can pay.
Yeah.
park.
you know, if this makes it past the commission. We're gonna use our social media
right,
to put this out there.
but again, it's like, I like that piece, we have. 400 spots that are free, we have us in, we say, pick what works for you, you know, it's about, you know, here's your a la carte. You know, you can park for free, you can park for 2 hours, you can park for a permit. You know, we have all these options.
Yeah, I think it is. The significant portion of this is public education, because I've noticed when people show up to meetings. When they actually show up to the meeting and they learn about all the free parking downtown and this and that, they realize that. Somebody not paying $1 an hour. That's not what's keeping people from spending money at their store. There's, you know, so.
But those kids have to work, right?
Yeah, that's right.
They have to work and I mean, I can't tell you, I finally got passport because I had to try to fight with the coins.
Yeah.
So maybe that's your.
But I went and learned that part, still not taking quarters, I heard.
Okay.
There was one down in 400 block.
Okay.
It wouldn't take my.
Well, let's, where are we at here?
Well, I think I think some of this stuff is discussion for the work session, so if you want to
Yeah.
work on the agenda for the work session. And then the agenda for the next actual meeting will just be budget,
Yes,
Okay.
okay,
so work session agenda.
so the work session agenda, this is just a work session agenda to set. Committee priorities for the next year, the next fiscal year. which starts July 1st. Because that's what we're gonna tell the commission.
Yeah, I mean, I'd like to go to the commission and say, budget was put together, we kind of worked on it. We think we got some good ideas, and then we also know we're gonna move forward with priorities, and if we have to adjust this down the road. We'll do that later, but we need to move forward.
So the work session will be 2 to 4 on our next meeting,
Yeah.
March date, which
And
is
then we'll move into the budget.
the 12th.
And then we'll move into the budget after that at our regular committee.
Do we want to have an agenda more than a work session or?
Well, I think there's, that's kind of the idea, is to just bring your ideas.
Yeah, I mean,
Brainstorm.
yeah, and but I mean, if Alicia could bring you and Abigail maybe in. You know, what are people hearing? I think Callie would be really good, because Callie gets the bigger picture.
She gets a lot of people still trying to pay their ticket at her building.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but I mean, she gets the bigger picture of, you know, you do X, you know, think, and then that affects the hotels, that affects, you know, so I think she's got a bigger picture than of down of the city.
Of the city,
And
sure.
I don't know who else would have that same picture. You know,
I'll tell you something for certain, that it's a very thin part of the pie chart. But visitors from out of state are delighted to pay $1 an hour. I have them take pictures of it and laugh and send it to their friends, because they're from places where they charge $25.
Yeah.
You know?
yeah, it's not the tourists,
Mm-mm.
and it's not, yeah.
No,
okay. All right, so then,
I have a commitment till 2 that day.
the 15th.
Maybe 2:30 maybe? Just so everybody can hear.
Yeah, it goes. I'm learning to curl.
Oh. Man, teaching you?
I think she's with that gang.
Oh, you want to do 2?
Yeah.
2:30, say?
2:30.
You'll just have to get your work done before.
Or do you wanna do another day? Does that have to be bumped up to our next meeting?
I don't know, I like the 12.
Okay.
Yeah,
I should-
it's open.
Okay, let's do 2:30. Let's do 2:30. I think we're
And
good,
I'll make sure David has good budget info for you.
cause you won't be here.
I will be taking my daughter to see the Broadway play.
Oh, wow, what do you?
I'm just wondering, I mean, you're pretty valuable.
What? Oh,
The
downtown?
outside, the outsiders,
Oh, the
You
outside.
won't fit through the door.
I don't know, but your information is valuable, we need to work around you.
no, I'll set everything up with all the different scenarios for you guys. I'm sure David will hand the job. That was great. You know, he did budgets before I existed in the department.
I'm just, you know, what are your senior big
You
picture?
know, so I'll just, so food for thought, since I won't be here for that for you guys, that right now. I have $100,000 built into next year's cap budget. So we aren't suggesting any changes to personnel right now, so that part of the budget doesn't really change much. The regular operating budget, as it stands right now, won't really change very much. And so that's really the biggest piece. We drop off that 90 or so thousand dollars worth of the debt service from the Jackson garage. And so I pretty much just rolled that whole amount into our capital budget for next year. So next year's capital budget, instead of 40,000, is 100,000. And that right now, as it stands, sort of year over year, we're more or less balanced. I think we have about $7,000 to the black with $100,000 capital budget right now. So that's where it sits. And then that does not include any rate increase considerations either. So,
But that money can get chewed up pretty quick, right? With the one project.
Right, that's the thing. So we have all those, we have all
Well,
those
we're not,
projects.
yeah, we're
in
not
the-
saying, no, go
Yeah.
back to it. Yeah.
Yeah, we have all those projects in the, the consultant for all the garages, right? Then we'll have to spread that 100,000 for, but ultimately, I think that's, a good place to start when you start talking priorities is, let's try to focus on the things where that money could go the furthest when it comes to setting priorities.
Yeah. Yeah, and then if the TIF grant does come through. And I assume you guys will get that application in, then we'll get that TIF grant, then we can get some landscape done.
So no sense energy to work it out.
Well, that's something we need to talk about. What's the status of,
We'd have to talk to James. He's been the one doing. So I'm gonna have to talk to, see if, the county public works will move their meetings so that we can be in here at both meetings. But I can do that. They're usually pretty good about swapping the meetings if we have to.
okay?
Who do we need to make sure we invite specifically to this?
I think we advertise it and then we talk to people.
Well, we know we need. BAD.
Yeah.
Do we have a downtown association of the block or whatever they're doing down? Sean and Riley, or they?
They, I mean, we can invite them, but I can tell you that we can tell you right now, they think parking ought to be free and haven't come to any meetings. Okay, which, I mean, maybe we shouldn't let them. I don't know.
I mean, they're looking at bigger pictures. I mean, I just thinking, are there some key, I mean, definitely Callie. Andrea,
The biggest point that we gotta get across to them is parking is just like their business. We don't get money from any other source. It's
Yeah.
the users, just like their customers support their business, the users support parking. And I think there's some misconception out there that we get all this money from someplace else and we're just not doing, we're just supporting it and we don't have any money.
well, I think the question is, what is their issue? Is the issue,
Well, I think they're gonna have to state it for themselves.
right, I mean, somebody, I think we need to, I mean, that's why I invite them and say, what is your issue? Is it really,
Is this the bar, the brewery?
yeah,
I think that's best for them.
right, but I mean, I think we look for some people that we already know are gonna be. That have good ideas, or might be named naysayers. I mean, I don't think we go out of our way.
No, I think the focus of the planning meeting is not necessary to root out. It's to put a plan in motion. This is what we're gonna focus on. And then the public can come in at any time and move the needle, but right, our task is to establish the priorities we're gonna work on.
Well, we got the strategic plan we can fall back on.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's, I think, looking at that and saying, where do
Yeah.
we go?
Yeah,
How do we fit into that?
yeah. Okay, was there anything else we had on the agenda that we needed to
I
cover?
don't think it's anything
Okay,
can't be covered after we set our priorities and talk about it.
okay.
Look at that, you're 15 minutes faster than Julia.
I know, well, I have,
I'm gonna say Steph got us up 15 minutes early.
I got.
And we got to talk as long as we wanted.
I mean, I was. I think we, I was surprised. I had a list of things to talk about and we kind of hit on every one. The one thing we didn't hit on was, which is something we can talk about next week, was the possibility of some low income parking permit.
Yeah,
And I'm trying to think about how that would work. You would have to go ahead.
I think we find out how many are we really talking about? I think we're looking at Atlas Building. And one other low income building downtown with a parking issue.
So
What about these people, the lady that
That's-
getting
that's
tickets?
the app.
that down.
No, there was a lady that lived in the Blackstone or something, and there's not enough parking and.
So that goes back
That's
to the
your-
residential parking district.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's not low income.
We shouldn't be including apartments because they will blow up the district and then the people, the residents, they're gonna have places to park.
Okay, so they're not the same issue as the low income,
No.
okay.
So the hard part about that has always been the administrative task of verifying who deserves it, and who doesn't.
Yep.
Who meets whatever criteria, who verifies that, do we keep their information on file, do we not? And it can't just be, this is just for the Atlas building, because that's not fair to,
No.
if we make a
I'm saying
program.
like maybe
It's
section
open
eight,
for everyone.
if you ever approve for section 8 housing. And section 8 housing is downtown. Then that's the proof to me, or the landlord, the landlord vouches for them and says, yes. I do a section 8 to this tenant. Then we find out, okay, tenant, I was thinking about where they could go, and I was thinking,
So the landlord would then be the manager of the account because
well,
honestly, we at the city don't want all that information.
no, we don't want it. I mean, what we're saying is, I think what we're doing is we're saying, yeah, either the landlord gets, we give them little cards that they can hand to their people, and their people can come down to you and say, I need to buy a permit for $30 for the month.
So here we run into this other issue.
Okay.
Everything's done through the portal. We can set them up initially, but then they're gonna have to have an email that tells them that they have to pay up for the next month or the next year. And that's where we run into some struggles with, people don't have access to computers so that's some other things that we have to.
Well, I think we go to them and say, tell us what works for you, and then see if it works for you. I mean,
So they can't come downstairs and get a.
they can give you,
They
permit
can
like
pay it,
I do.
but the only way that we remind them is through email. So they would have to have it on their calendar that the 29th or
well,
whatever.
maybe we look to the landlord and say, hey, your job is to notify.
Well, no, I think
I
it's
would
the
put the
landlord,
landlord.
because he has to do all the section 8 stuff.
Yeah.
In my mind, the landlord, just like state fund.
Yeah.
He sets up the account, he has 16 apartments that are section 8, he buys those permits on whoever needs them.
Yeah.
And then he does the renewals, cause then who manages the license plates and all that other stuff? I think we put that on the building manager because.
I do too. I mean, we go to them and say, we know there's an issue. And, we know that their lifestyle is not moving their car every so many days. I thought about the on Broadway building, the parking lot for on Broadway. Well, they're gonna get snowed in, and so they're gonna get plowed in on a lot like that. The plow's not gonna know who has section 8, who doesn't. So I'm proposing their downtown residents, they get a shot at the Jackson Garage. And maybe we have 10 slots at the Jackson Garage that are section 8.
Which 10 people are you gonna kick out?
Well, that's what we have to talk about. I mean,
Well, they don't all have cars.
They don't all, we're not talking about, they don't all have
Right.
cars.
But what Chris said though is, if we do this.
Oh, that we
It's
gotta
not
get
just
out
for
of-
Jackson, it's for every place.
Yeah,
And so, again,
well, then we
who do you decide doesn't get the ticket to the show and who does?
well, that's our whole problem in the society anyway, and we go to the placer and say, your neighbors, we got neighbors and we gotta figure this out. How are we gonna do it?
Pretty sure none of the plaza people are gonna give up their parking.
So
space
what,
in Jackson.
what about this?
But I think we have to go to,
street,
yeah.
It's, what street is it on? Jackson?
Yeah.
I mean, one block up is, of course, they're probably disabled, can't walk.
Well, I think we go to them and say, help us solve it. We heard,
So we have, I've met with the building manager of Atlas,
okay,
and he has yet to get back to me after the few things I've asked him to get back to me.
and does Alice Santos own the building?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Because, so I asked him, I was like, I know section 8 gets subsidies, and I know section 8 across the United States can't just be, in these areas that don't have parking. Can you check in to see if section 8 has a parking allowance?
Yeah.
But we don't care.
But here's what happened.
Yeah.
They lost their HUD subsidies. And so they have just elected to keep the rental rates in that building, but they were no longer a housing. That just happened.
Yeah.
That's what I think.
Yeah.
So that it's gonna be complicated with something we need to.
But I think what we do is we say, we're treating you like we would other people. Here's an opportunity. We heard that you need a permit. We know this, so
Well,
we're
what's the-
going to say $30, and it's up to them
Yeah.
to figure out where they get the $30 a month or whatever
We're
they're
gonna
gonna charge.
put that on.
And to get themselves down, I mean, they have to be
I
responsible.
mean, they have to be responsible, and you know, if they park wrong, they get a ticket.
Good.
I mean,
Well, let's put
Yeah.
that on the work session.
yeah,
And
and
try
just,
to come up with something.
Okay.
The one thing I want to talk about before we adjourn is go back to construction update for lot 3. And that is that the Northwestern Energy brought their bucket truck out there today and a couple other trucks. And of course, they couldn't move because it was full of cars.
I'll talk to James, but I mean, if they just showed up and didn't give us any notice to, you know, block off the lot so that they could do their work. We did ask them to start doing their work at night, so that might be why they were putting the trucks out there.
Yeah, Alicia sent me an email. I forwarded her email to Jerry asking him to follow up with Northwestern and figure out what, because I thought it was only supposed to be that couple of weeks
Right.
before,
Yeah,
and they were gonna be out of there.
and it's just been sitting, and you know, the weather's been so nice, it makes
Yeah,
sense.
it
to
should
get
have been
done
done.
if they could.
Well, when I walked by there, just kind of questioned what they were up to. He said, well, I said, I thought you guys were working nights and weekends. And he goes, no, we're not working nights. He goes, no, we've never worked all day, night, no.
So the other thing that what we've gotten, because there's still streetlights down on Neal and Fuller, is that they're still so far behind in the repair of the windstorm. So they might have had to put that project on hold to get the windstorm stuff up. I don't know, that's just a guess.
Yeah, well, anyway,
We'll double check and I'll
That's
send out an email.
that's an issue.
can you ask the PCOs if they have some issues they want us to look at?
Sure.
You know, are there things that they're seeing on the street that are issues?
Okay, well, I think we're gonna adjourn.
There is someone who's-
Any further comments?
There.
I
Yeah,
didn't
comment too
wanted
much
to
more,
beat-
and I got everything to close on.
I wanted to beat Julia out the door.
Well, I heard that, I was just talking today, and someone has applied for a spot on the board,
Yeah,
on the committee. And she asked if I'd be willing to change my alliance to property owner blessings or something, so. Anyway, I said, figure out what you wanna do. I mean, I don't have to be a business rep. I can be whatever rep fits the category.
What was Julie?
Property owner.
property.
Property owner. But
Okay.
Well, we'll get you out a sample or a draft agenda for both next meetings, and then you guys can make changes.
Sounds good, okay. Can I get a motion to adjourn?
so moved.
A second.
So
Any further discussion?
somebody's.
All right.
Thanks for taking.